Here's a couple of notes on learning London surprise minor. So there's quite a few bits of new work here that you need to learn. I've made a note of them here. So the first one is a new London frontwork, which is a point lead, seconds, lead, dodge, then seconds over the treble, and then the same again in reverse, dodge, lead, seconds, and a point lead. And there's a piece of work called Long London, and that is slightly different whether you're doing it up or down, but don't normally make the distinction between which one, just call it Long London. And that is a dodge, which is with the treble, then lie at the back, let in a fishtail, then lie at the back. Or if you're doing it the other way around, it's in reverse. So you would lie first, then let in a fishtail, lie, and dodge with the treble. And if you haven't come across a fishtail before, it's basically the same as a dodge, but you're not travelling the other way, you're going back reverse. And so if I drew a fishtail in here, you'd be coming here and then coming up the back and then going back. So it's not like a dodge, because the dodge would continue in this direction. A fishtail goes back in the same direction you came. And the third bit of work that's new is something called London Places, which is very similar to sort of Cambridge Places, but hasn't got as much work in it. So you make thirds, you dodge, and then you make fourths, and then go out. Or if you do it the other way around, you come in and you'd make thirds. Sorry, you're starting here, aren't you? So you go in, make fourths, dodge, and then make thirds and out again. So to see where all this fits into London Surprise, start off at seconds place bell, which is half the London front work we've just done. So there's your point lead at the end. Now there's a lot of backward hunting in London Surprise, which you might not have come across before. Backward hunting basically means that this is done at hand stroke, but then your seconds place is done in backstroke, so it's hand stroke, backstroke, and it feels a little bit weird. But because of that, you need to make thirds and fourths places every time you hunt up to the back and back to front, especially when you're, well, mainly because when you pass the treble, you need to do it right as opposed to doing it wrong. Wrong is backward hunting. So this is why you need to do fourths, make fourths here, because you're about to pass the treble. But you'll see that there's no way in London that you can come and hunt all the way from the front to the back without making some places in thirds or fourths places. So anyway, after all that, you've done your point lead at the end of the front work, you make fourths, and then this is Long London here. So it's the dodge with the treble, lie, let in the fishtail. You can see the sixth bell is the fishtailing bell here, but you're letting that fishtail in, and then you lie at the back. And go back up to the front to become a thirds place bow. Thirds place bow starts with making thirds. You come up to the back to make a fishtail. Then as you hunt down, you make fourths to backward hunt to the front and lead wrong. Leading wrong means your backstroke is first and then your hand stroke. Then you come up to the back, doing London Places, so that's thirds, dodge with the treble, and then fourths. I should have mentioned before that in London Places you're always dodging with the treble in the middle. Then you come up to lie at the back, and then you become fifths place bow. Fifths place bow is the pivot bow. Pivot bow means it's symmetrical about the treble at the back. So you come in, make thirds, do Steadman hole turn, make thirds, do another Steadman hole turn, make thirds. So it's quite easy to remember, I think. Thirds, Steadman hole turn, thirds, Steadman hole turn, thirds. So it's basically Steadman and thirds. Go out to the back and become sixth place bow. Sixth place bow is a reverse of thirds place bow. So you lie at the back, and then you come in, you do London Places down, so fourths, dodge with the treble, thirds, come in, lead wrong, and come out to the back making fourths, do your fishtail, and then come in, make thirds, and out. And fourth place bell immediately comes up to the back and does London places, but this time you would lie first, then let the fishtail in, then lie at the back, and then dodge with the treble. Make fourths, and then you start the other half of your front work starting with a point lead, seconds, lead, dodge with the treble, and make seconds. So it's quite... the other thing to mention is that every time you go from fishtail into London front work, and it happens here as well, fishtail or London work into fishtail, when you're going from the two, or between the two, you're always making thirds and reverse. So that's a handy one to remember. So I think it's quite a good idea to remember London work in a circle of work, because if you look at it like the clock face, at 12 o'clock is the front work, at 3 o'clock there's a fishtail, at 6 o'clock there's Steadman and thirds, which is the pivot bell at the back, and then there's also a fishtail at the 9 o'clock position. So you think about that, fishtails are at the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position, and then that work is interdispersed with long London here and here, and London places here and here. So if you think about going around the circle of work, you do front work, long London, fishtail, London places, Steadman thirds, London places, fishtail, long London, London front work. And I've written here as well where you are hunting and you need to make either fourths or thirds to correct yourself going wrong hunting to right hunting. So that's 4, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3. That's all the thirds involved in Steadman thirds. 4 thirds, fourths. So in my head, that makes me sort of make sense of what we're doing, because sometimes it'd be quite complicated. But if you realise that, you know, in between long London and fishtail, like I was saying before, long London and fishtail, you're always making thirds and reverse, and you have this circle of work in your head, it might make it easier and to remember which place bell you are as well. So let's have a talk about bobs. The bells at the back are unaffected. That's thirds place and fifth place bell. So I did a bit of a post-it note there, but if you just make sure you remember that the bells at the back are unaffected. So seconds place bell, you've done your front work, and then you're into your long London. If a bob's called, you would have been thirds place bell to do a fishtail. Remember I said you always do make thirds and then do a fishtail? Well, if a bob is called, you actually make fourths and you become fourths place bell. It means you do long London again. So if you remember that if you're doing long London as seconds place bell and a bob's called, you then do long London again, but it's just the reverse. So you do long London as if you're fourths place bell. If you are fourths place bell and a bob's called, obviously you've just been doing long London and then you come in to do the front work, and you would have then gone out to, so with a bob you run out and you make thirds, so you do your fishtail. You would have been making seconds, but actually you make thirds. That just confused me there because I've done my dotted line in the wrong way around on that one. And then sixth place bell on a bob, so you would be lying, doing London places down, lead wrong, and then you come and do your fishtail, and you would have become a fourth place bell to do your London places, but instead when there's a bob called, you run in, you make seconds and become seconds place bell to do the front work of seconds place bell. Now have a look at singles as well. Singles, only 2 bells are affected, and that is sixth place bell and seconds place bell. All the other place bells like these are unaffected, so fourth place bell going into seconds place bell is unaffected, and the bells at the back here, fifth place bell and third place bell, they're unaffected as well. So you only need to remember 2 bells swap over on a single, and that is sixth place bell. So you've done your London places down, lead wrong, and then your fishtails. And when a single is called here, you would be making thirds anyway, but you extend those thirds to make long thirds because you're becoming third place bell. And then you do your fishtails. In your second place bell, you come in and you're finishing off your front work, and then you're into long London. In a singles chord here, you make fourths instead of thirds and become fourth place bell. And then you do long London again. So you've seen this before, haven't you? That single work is exactly the same as a bob. So if you remember that, that's easy. And so doing a single, the only thing that changes really, or the only new bit of work, is this long thirds. And you can see here, from where I've done the dotted line there, these two bells swap over. There we go. So to finish off then, and I hope that was helpful with if you're learning London, because I couldn't find many resources online, certainly not explaining it in a video. Here's the circle of work again, and I've written where the bobs and singles happen, just to see where the bobs or where the bells swap over. So on the bobs, you can see 3 bells swap over. So if you're going into third place bell, you don't anymore, you become fourth place bell. And then this bell swaps over here. So the two. So again, thinking of it in a circle of work, I think helps with the bobs, because it's only the bells at the front here, the top of the work, that's swapping around, and there's 3 bells that swap around in the bob. And as I said, only 2 bells swap around in the single. The other 3 bells are unaffected. And it is the second going into third place bell that goes actually into fourth place bell. And the 6th place bell that was going into fourth place bell actually goes into third place bell. So it's 2 bells that swap over. And I hope that's of help.